We've talked about the cultural relationship between certain groups in Africa and historic Phrygia. What you'll also notice is that Africa and Phrygia are essentially the same names, and so it might stand to reason that these are the same people situated in different places and then taking the name from one place to another place. And so it's all the same thing in terms of the name, and you also see these similarities with respect to the culture. You might recall that we previously noted the connection between the historic Phrygian cap and the caps worn by many men in Nigeria. Whether you're talking about the Igbo, whether you're talking about the Yoruba, there is an affinity for this particular type of cap that has the excess material in the top and it is folded over, either going to the side or going to the front. And this is very similar to the historic Phrygian cap. Another notable cultural connection is the wax print. You'll note that these wax prints are common in West Africa. You'll also note that the name of the wax print is Ankara. There does not seem to be a clear understanding as to how these African prints came to be known as Ankara fabric, but that is the name. And so you have this additional connection to Turkey with Ankara. So you have Phrygia and you have Ankara. You also see that there is an exchange in terms of letters, these sounds historically. And so you will see as we look at these names, Phrygia and Africa, that based upon the languages, you might see a G in place of a C or a K or a CK or an S even, or a Q or an X. And so there are all sorts of variations with these particular consonants that you will see across a variety of languages. We're just going to be looking at that connection between Africa and Phrygia. And so if you look on the screen, you can more clearly see the connection. And when you take into consideration that these consonants can be exchanged, it makes it easier for you to see. So with Phrygia, the G can be exchanged for the K or the C sound. You also see Frisia in Germany essentially being the same word. You see Afrikia in the Arabic, meaning Africa, essentially being the same word. This time you have the Q exchange. And then you have Afrikia, which also is Africa. And so you can see all of these variations. And when you take into consideration again that these letters are interchangeable, you can see that essentially these are the same place names. And here's an explanation about why these consonants are often taught together. And if you look at this etymology breakdown, you can see with Phrygia that it goes through a variety of iterations, and then you can see those descendants. And so when you look at the descendants, you don't see the PHRY, you see FRI, and then you see a G, and then in some instances you see the X. And so you can see there's quite a bit of exchange going on here that might create some confusion about the relationship between the place names. And so you might see Phrygia spelled one way in one language and see it spelled another way in another language and not understand that it's the same name. And here you see some additional exchange, because in many languages, Africa is not spelled with the C, it's spelled with the K. And you can see here that you don't have Africa with the F, you have APRIKA. So you have significant exchange going on here. And here you see additional exchange. In this case, you see it as APHR, so you see that Phrygia. You see APHRYGA. So again, significant exchange. And you can also see variations in terms of other ways to spell Africa that you might not have thought of. And the Scots Gaelic gives it away with the G and the C being interchanged. And here you see another example with the AFR being exchanged with the APHR. And here in the Ukrainian, you see the Africa spelled with the AFRYKA. So you see exchanges with both vowel and consonant. And in Bengali, you see those roots of Frisia again. So you see here APHRIKA. And as we wrap this up, we see finally with the Arabic, the Q entering the picture as a part of the exchange. And so in this instance, you have Africa as AFRIQYA with the insertion of the Y also. And so you can see that there are significant connections historically and culturally between Phrygia and Africa, and specifically the west coast of Africa. It would be interesting to get a little bit more clarity about why these connections are often obscured. Now, what's also noteworthy is that these names are still related to a fair. And Turkey historically has quite a presence in the New Testament. And so you might want to check that out. There are a few things that are noted specifically in the book of Revelation. And so if you're talking about Phrygia and you're talking about Africa and you're talking about a fair, again, it's important to keep in mind that when talking about these places, that the places, the geographic spaces, are not as important as the people representing the geographic spaces. And so the people are Africa. The people are Phrygia. So it's not just the land space that you need to be concerned with. It's the actual people that give the name to the land. Remember, knowledge is power. Take care. See you soon.